When we're young, we have an amazing, positive outlook about how great life is going to be, but somewhere along the line, we forget to dream and end up settling. Join Up Dots features amazing people who refuse to give up and chose to go after their dreams. This is your blueprint for greatness. So here's your host, live from the back of his garden in the UK, David Ralph.
Yes, hello there. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and thank you very, very much for coming across to Join Up Dots. Totally appreciate that. This is the last show that we are going to be recording for a while. We're going on sabbatical. Yes, it's good. When you start anything, most of the time you're just slogging away, getting it to a certain point, and the ability to walk away from it is the last thing you can possibly do. But we're now at the point with Join Up Dots that we've got so many sort of people coming to us, which is remarkable, really, to spend time with this slightly idiotic UK podcaster that we can walk away for a few weeks, and we're going to be doing that. So if you see me walking around and you think that guy sounds like the guy in my ears, it's probably me. And if I look slightly drunk at the same time in a pair of shorts and sandals, it's definitely me. Now today's guest, I'm sure that he's not sitting there in a pair of sandals and shorts getting drunk at this time of the morning, but maybe he is. But certainly he's a man who classes himself as part CEO, part personal development wonk, and part biohacker info geek. Built from his background of businessman, television producer, filmmaker and author, he would also class himself as 100% self-confessed serial entrepreneur. He began his life journey in Colorado via Wisconsin, where he studied marketing at the University of Colorado. He then graduated from Chadwick University with a BA in environmental studies, then went on to attend graduate school at the University of California, Los Angeles, where he studied intellectual property law. But it would seem to me that his life, at least where he was always heading, started for earnest in 1999 when he started the food company Steviva. Answering the need of food companies to manufacture products lower in sugar and to adhere to new FDA disclosure guidelines, his company offers a wide range of industrial size, high quality, clean label sweetening systems for food manufacturers, plus smaller pack size sweetening options for health conscious consumers. Through his company, our guest's goal is to eliminate metabolic disease 1 meal at a time. He says, I founded it as a result of my passion for health, community service and environmental advocacy. My company was inspired by and follows the world-renowned engineer, statistician, professor, author, lecturer and management consultant, Professor W. Edward Deming's principles of constant improvement in product and customer service. My company ensures the highest possible standards for quality control and food safety. This drives everything we do. And isn't that how all success is made? Constant improvement over a period of time, leading to something amazing, rewarding and valuable to ourselves and the world. You start small and work hard until the world starts to take notice. So was the entrepreneurial vibe born in him or constructed piece by piece by every day of his working life? And living in a country that is known for its ample portions, sauces, relishes and other additions, has it been easier to build his company or more difficult because of the environment of food loving? Well, let's find out as we bring onto the show to start joining up dots with the one and only Mr. Thom King. Good morning, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing terrific, David. I seriously have to save that intro and send it to everybody I know. It was like, what? That's me? That was fantastic. Thank you for that.
It is you. It's all your hard work put into one 3-minute block. And as I was saying at the beginning, it's nice. Oh, I have to ask you first of all, did I murder the name of the company? As I was getting to it, I thought, I've got no idea how you say this. And it sounded slightly Romanian as I was saying it. Steviva. Is that right?
That is exactly correct.
Oh, there you go. I'm a professional podcaster. Never make a mistake. So with your company, Steviva, let's start there straight away. Is it your labour of love? Is it the thing that you think is going to be your legacy work, or is it part of the journey?
It's part of the journey. I basically live through, and conduct my business from a place of contribution. So if whatever I can give back to the world, and help the world become a better place, that's what I'm going to gravitate to. So this is one step on a journey. If I can be, an important piece of eradicating metabolic disease on a global level, that gives me a great deal of satisfaction. But this is just this is just one component of what I want to do with my moonshot goals.
And it's not just a case of providing value, like monetary value. I'll be totally honest. I received a parcel of food from you, which it could have fed a family for about 6 months. It was a huge pile. Is this part of your sort of teaching people, I suppose, that there's a different way of doing it instead of just going for the granulated sugar, that there are different products out there? Is it kind of a training that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, our products do require, some education and some re-education, because people have been taught for so many years, that sugar and carbohydrates give you energy, when in reality, those are the things that make you fat. So, yeah, it's an educational process, teaching, teaching people how to re-engineer their recipes, their lifestyle, and basically, just being very conscientious when they're putting food in their mouths.
And are you conscientious? Did you enjoy your food, or do you think, oh my God, what's this doing to me? I know I shouldn't, but I can't stop myself.
I'm a human being. So there are a few things, like I love good red wine. I love pizza. There's a lot of things. I love chocolate. I can go through a litany of food that I'm tempted by. Well, I should say I could go through a litany of vices that I'm tempted by, but I try to refrain from it and understand that if I do go off the rails, that I can always get back on.
And how often does the wife go out and you get a big bar of chocolate, some pizza and red wine, you push it all together and you're in food heaven? How often do you go off the rails?
I have not gone off the rails in probably 8 months now. So
you're not human, Tom. You are not human. I think you're some kind of weird alien. How have you managed to do that? Especially when you live in a country that bombards you with adverts for food all the time.
You're not the first person who's referred to me as an alien, so and not being human. So that's pretty common. I think that the way it was back in October of last year. I made a commitment to making an absolute life change, because I honestly felt like I'd been a hypocrite for almost a decade, because I own a company that is focused on ending metabolic disease, and we support, people that, that abide by a ketogenic diet. And I was anything but that. I was about 35 pounds overweight, drinking a bottle of wine every day. And I was on a trade show trip in Las Vegas, and I woke up in the morning and the room smelled like alcohol, not because of me. And it was just like a depressing state. And I said, I need to make a change. So I really went into sort of a meditative state, and I associated so much pain to all of the habits that I wanted to break that I feel like it sort of offset the pleasure that I was deriving from them. And so anytime that I am tempted by eating a pizza or, eating, mashed potatoes and gravy and fried chicken, what I do is I associate a level of pain with that offsets the pleasure.
But sometimes pain is so close to pleasure. That's what they say to me, Tom. I don't understand that statement, but that's what they tell me.
There's growth in pain. So, I mean, one thing about me, and it freaks people out, is I really enjoy and respect and love suffering. Like, I really love to suffer, because when I'm suffering, those are the times when I have my greatest opportunity to grow.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And of all my growth, I think everybody's growth comes through those pain, those dark dots as we talk about, but nobody actually enjoys them, do they? Nobody loves them, surely. Maybe with hindsight you say you love it, but at the time, surely you just lay on the bathroom floor screaming, why me, why me, why me, don't you?
It doesn't go quite that far, but what I do focus on is if I get into a moment of extreme suffering and extreme pain, which I feel like sometimes I'm drawn to, because if there's ever a situation that I feel uncomfortable with, I'm drawn to it because the message to me is that, hey, here's an opportunity to grow. So I'll intentionally throw myself into situations that cause pain and suffering because I realize on the other side of it, there's pain. While I'm in it, it's painful. I focus on the outcome.
And have you always been like that? Or were you, as an earlier child or a man or whatever, would you have run away from discomfort and gone for the comfort zone that so many people build their whole lives in?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was a complete slacker when I was a teenager. Like really lazy, couldn't hold down a job. And there's times when I'm surprised that I even made it through college. So there were times that I indulged, that I gravitated towards, unhealthy vices. And this has been a journey of decades to be able to focus on self-discipline and basically, trying to mold and craft myself into the person that I want to be.
So let's take you back. You've done so many jobs. Did you know what you wanted to be? Was all these different jobs? And it's so eclectic as well. But I suppose there's an element of creativity in them as well, the majority of them. Was that a big part of you? Are you somebody that likes to actually create either a product or a film or a TV show?
Well, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. I think it goes back 5 generations. So, I mean, I have that like tattooed into my DNA. When I was a kid, I grew up on a ranch, and I was basically slave labor for my father. And I wasn't really interested in ranching or the construction business, which my dad was also involved in. And so, I mean, I was forced to be part of it. But at night, I would lay in bed with a portable radio, and I would listen to a radio station broadcast out of Denver, Colorado. It just became a dream. It was like someday I will, I'll be on the radio someday. I'll be involved in the entertainment industry someday. And so, that was always part of my dream when I was a child, but it always seemed unattainable to me. Like, wow, this is for other people.
And are things unattainable to you now? Do you still have those, or is it now everything's possible? Have you got to a point where, like I suppose Branson and Elon Musk and stuff have, where they literally can just blast through that ceiling, that mindset ceiling that we set for ourselves?
That's a really good question, because I was getting interviewed last week quite a bit about Jeff Bezos, about Amazon, buying out Whole Foods, which is an amazing feat that I actually didn't see coming. And I mean, there was a huge lesson in that for me, because I felt a certain level of shame, because I thought, okay, Amazon is going to pick up, another, a brick and mortar company. And I for sure thought it was going to be Sprouts. I thought they were going to make a play for Thrive. And then when Amazon bought Whole Foods, that was a painful experience for me, because it's like, why didn't I see that? And it's like, why didn't I see that? Because I haven't stepped up my game big enough. And, that was a real opportunity for me to take a look in the mirror and look at people, like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, and realize that those people come from a space of anything is possible. And it's you who will make it probable.
But they have a mindset of anything is possible, but they also have a team around them. And that's one of the stumbling blocks for all solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. When they're getting going, they have to go through that grind before they can start earning money in and start investing it into the team. That's when the real sort of progress and the success comes rapidly to them. Your early days, was it grind? Did you surround yourself with a team? Were you more aware of how success is built?
Well, I can tell you that it's still a grind for me. I mean, every single day it's a grind and it's a hustle. And, because we're a medium-sized company, we're not a large company yet. And surrounding myself by the right people has been a challenge. I mean, my belief is that you're the sum of the 5 people closest to you. So it's been an effort, and I would say that my biggest effort, isn't in creating a path so much for our systems within our business, but finding the right people to surround myself with that can actually help me level up my game. And it's still a continual challenge of finding good people.
So how do you do it then? Because I know that's one of the stumbling blocks that people struggle with. What questions, what routes do you take to make sure that you get the right person?
Well, I mean, we have a little bit of a different philosophy here. I mean, we've created an environment, for where people work. Like we have a yoga studio and garden, that we actually harvest from on a daily basis. We've got chickens, an archery range, a boxing gym. So we've got a lot of these elements that I'm hoping that create sort of a sense of aliveness in my employees, whereby they wake up in the morning and they say, I get to go to work instead of I have to go to work. And I think creating that environment is a big step forward. But I also think that hiring for attitude is critically important, because aptitude can be taught, but an attitude is something that somebody comes to the table with.
So you're a big advocate on sort of mental health and well-being as well as physical, creating an environment for your staff to feel comfortable in and flourish. And I'm not sure if archery and chickens in the same place is a good idea. I bet a couple of squawks and a burst of feathers every now and again might have occurred. Are you aware that you're putting it together? Is this part of a big health strategy, that it's not just about what you're putting into your body, but it's how you're operating within your body as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I think that life is is all about balance. And I think that you need to feed your mind, body, and spirit. So I think that, creating an environment that really, creates a sense of aliveness, I think that really, it helps sort of flesh out a balanced lifestyle for all my employees. So I think that if you've got that balance, where they can come to work and, feel rejuvenated and take a walk around the facility, I think what happens is you start getting you get buy-in from your employees, and you get a lot of people that bring passion, and then it's not a job to them anymore. It's a cause.
But you do struggle with health, don't you? You struggle with health to fit it into your day's life. Everything's hurry-scurry, and we all think... Like this morning, I went for a walk through the country. Me and my wife are doing a walk literally every day through the countryside, and we do about 5 miles. And I'm fortunate now that I've got a structure in my life that allows us the mornings off. So we get the kids to school, and then we have our walk, and then I come up to the recording studio and I do what I need to do. So my whole working day now is about 3 to 4 hours, really, and the rest of it's playtime. But the majority of people in life, they get up, they have to commute, they have to get to work, sit at their desk, boom, 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 boom. It's difficult to get health in. So do you think they should be thinking about the food aspect before they get the gym memberships and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, within my company, I mean, everybody within the company, leads a healthy dietary lifestyle. And I think it's just because, they see what their fellow employees are doing. But if you want to, look at this on more of a macro basis, like on a global basis, where, do people need to get their physical fitness, down before, they start integrating, a dietary lifestyle change? I think it's all encompassing. I think that you can't just, have a dietary change without having exercise. And I don't think that you can have exercise without having something that grounds you, like some sort of a practice like meditation or yoga. So I really think that you have to have all of it, and you have to focus on doing it all in unison.
Right, let's take you back then, away from the health aspect of your company to the point where your health probably went out the window somewhat and you was grinding hour after hour trying to get it going. How did you do that? How did you get this idea of a business and actually construct it to the point that it is a company able to provide global products?
Well, I mean, that just goes back. I mean, I started my first business when I was 18 years old. So I have that real sort of strong entrepreneurial spirit, plus the fact that, you know, I come from generations of entrepreneurs. But I used to live in Arizona about 20 years ago, and I ran into a gentleman who had been trekking through South America and brought back, you know, a bunch of herbs and different sort of medicinal spices. And he actually introduced me to stevia, and he's like, look at these ground up leaves. I tried them and I'm like, oh man, these are sweet. It was like 25 times sweeter than sugar in that natural leaf state. And at that point in time, it just made I've always been a creative person, but it just made my mind go. I'm like, wow, what if we were able to extract those sweet constituents out of those leaves, and we had a natural high intensity sweetener? You know, this could compete against aspartame and saccharin, which were the leading artificial sweeteners at the time. And so my mind just immediately went to that. And yeah, I started working with chemists and scientists on coming up with a natural extraction method that that could get those sweet constituents out of the leaves and provide a clean flavor profile that people could use in manufacturing. And when I started the company, I thought my total vision was I want to be the natural version of NutraSweet. And my plan was, let's build a consumer brand. Let's build a consumer brand first, where we can get consumer brand equity, and then we can parlay that into an ingredient company. And for me, by the time we got into 2,500 different stores, we had already gotten noticed by major food manufacturers, and the ingredient side of our company it flourished, and now it's 90% of our business. So I think it was just a process of focus, hard work, endurance, and persistence.
And a sort of lucky break, really, because some guy traipsing through South America giving you a bunch of leaves, it could have taken you to prison. You had no idea what you're going to be dealing with.
That's funny. It is, and some people come to me and they're like, "Oh man, you're so smart," and my answer to that is I'm not. I think that my intelligence level's pretty average, and I think that I just got lucky. I think that sometimes you run into a situation and it's pure luck. I think that what a person does with luck, that's what differentiates it. So I saw that idea. I got lucky because I ran into it, but then I just would never give up. I was just persistent in it.
But let's play some words now, and let's delve back into that persistence, because that is a key part that brings success. Jim Carrey.
My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job, and our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
Did you love it? In those words, did you love it, or did you just think this is an opportunity? Have you grown to love it, or was it an instant, yeah, this is good?
It was an instant, yeah, this is good. I just saw the opportunity, and plus I was amazed because I'd never seen anything like that. I'd never seen a leaf that was like 25 times sweeter than sugar. So it was one of those moments that a light bulb went on, and I was like, I am in love with this, and this is what I'll do with my life.
And that's a key part, isn't it? When you get that feeling, that excitement. You know, I've recorded hundreds and hundreds of episodes of Join Up Dots, and literally, I love it every time. And people say to me, do you get bored of it? I go, no, how can I get bored with it? I'm a famous podcaster. I can't get bored of it. But away from that, it's just the conversations. It's the conversations I love. It's the deep dive into somebody's life. And I think that once you get that excitement, people really have to focus in on it. Even if it seems a stupid idea that people might laugh at, your body knows somehow, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I mean, the main theme behind, you know, what you just said and what I was saying is love. You know, if you love what you do, then it ceases to be a job and becomes a cause for you. And that's, I think that, I mean, people that don't love what they do, I think that they're robbing themselves of aliveness and the rich, beautiful experience that life can be. And it doesn't matter. Like, you don't need to be a billionaire. You don't need to be a millionaire. But if you just deeply love what you do, I think that is the pathway to having an amazing, beautiful life experience.
So it's easy to say this once you've achieved it. And I'm very aware in Join Up Dots that we have people on that have gone through the grind and they can wax lyrical about everything, because after a certain point, you kind of forget the pain. You know, even the most annoying girlfriends, you look back on them and you think, oh, were they really that bad? But at the time, it was just dreadful. Are you clinging to the pain that you've had to grow this business? You say that you love the pain, but is it becoming a bit rose-tinted glasses, like it just happened magically?
No, this didn't just happen magically, and it didn't. And when I look back at the pain that I've suffered, you know, and the sacrifices that I've made to have this business, because since I've started the business, you know, I now have 2 ex-wives, so that they, you know, you do make a certain level of sacrifice. When I first started the business, I almost lost my home. I had to borrow money from my dad, so they didn't take my home. I have had to live on a cot in a warehouse because I couldn't afford to live anywhere else. So and I mean, in getting up, I mean, I still get up every morning at 4:30. I try to go to bed by 9. You know, and this didn't magically come to me. And even leveling up my business from where it is now to, say, a 10x in 4 or 5 years, there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of sacrifice involved in it, and it doesn't come easy. You have to grind, and I recognize that, and I embrace the grind.
Now, that must have been a very difficult conversation to go to your parents, because there's a certain point that obviously we go to our parents for everything, but then we want to prove ourselves. We want to come back as heroes. We want to say, you thought I wasn't going to do anything, but look at me. How was that? Was that, as I can imagine, a very difficult conversation to have?
Wow, you ask excellent questions. It was, you know, because my dad, you know, being a rancher and a contractor, he was an extremely dominant figure in my life. And I think that his goal for me was to take over his business, and I wasn't very interested in it. So he didn't have much interest in helping me out. And it was a very hard conversation, and it took me weeks to be able to muster up the confidence to be able to ask him for help. And it took a lot of role playing of how I was going to ask and what that conversation was going to look like. And it was a certain level of humiliation, that I had to come to him and say, this business idea that that's not necessarily been supported. I need some money to be able to survive on and take take this business to the next level. And surprisingly, my dad had a lot of compassion. He said he'd been in that same exact place himself, because my dad was a rancher and a contractor, And his father worked in the awning business, making tents and covers for football and baseball fields. So he was compassionate in that end. And then my father recently passed away, and before he did, he told me how much of an honor it was for him to be able to help me, and that he was really proud of me, being able to be a success. And I paid him back every penny, and it was very difficult, but in the end, very satisfying, that my father, told me that he was very proud of me.
Which doesn't happen very often, does it, with parents? A majority of parents, love is kind of understood, but it's not said. For example, my mum, I could tell that she loves me. She's coming up 80 now. But if I ever say to her, "Oh, I love you, Mum," she'll go, "What are you after?" Yeah, the wheel's in the post or something. There's always some kind of like financial joke. I never get "I love you" back. And I don't think I've ever had my parents ever say they're proud of me. It's a real strange thing. But even at the age I am now, 47, I'm still driven to get that sort of recognition from my parents somehow, even though, my lives have gone on and I've got my own family and we've moved away and all that kind of stuff. There's still a part of me that I would love my mum and dad to go, yeah. The only time my dad ever said it to me was he's a remarkable father, and he actually said to me when I had younger kids, "You're a better dad than I ever was." And that was like a big choke moment in my throat. And I remember saying that, going back to my wife and going, "You won't believe what he just said to me." And she went, "Remember that, because you're not going to get many more after that." But it is strange why we're driven to prove ourselves to our parents. Maybe that's a good way, Thom. Do you think that's how life should be?
I don't know. I don't know, David. I see both sides of it, because I've had some very deep conversations, well, as deep as my father was able to engage, and I confronted him like about 15 years ago, and I said, "Look, you weren't very supportive." And my dad told me that he was hard on me because he knew that the world was a hard place, and he wanted to be able to instill a work ethic in me and a drive to never quit. And I'm not sure what the right answer is. I mean, I suppose that you can take whatever experiences that you have and turn them into what lesson you want it to be. I chose to, take the message that I got from my dad and turn it into, him encouraging me never give up. And is that what he meant? Is that, was that the message? I don't know. I think that people need to craft the message that works best for them.
Now, if we look at your life where it is now, at the beginning of the show, you said this is part of the journey. But is it a bloody good journey? Are you really enjoying it? As you say, it's still quite a small company, but you're grinding. It seems to me, and I've experienced it myself, and I was talking about it in the last episode with a lady, how we create stuff and sometimes we just want to smash it up. We just want to get away from it. We just want to go, look, let somebody else deal with this. Are you in the sort of the love still, or what's the feelings when you open your eyes first thing in the morning?
When I open my eyes first thing in the morning, so my clock, it projects on the ceiling. So once my eyes are open, I know exactly what time it is, and I throw myself, 4:30 in the morning. It's like, it's time to get up. Do I want to stay in bed? Of course I do. But I'm driven to get up and begin my day. And my day begins with journaling, going for a 3.5 mile run. I do free weight workout. I go cycling. So I spend those first 2 hours taking care of myself. And I think that is what creates the balance for me, where where my business and, my entrepreneurial aspirations don't possess me. Meaning I have this balance. I have this, what I call my hour of power, first thing in the morning, that gives me balance and grounds me. Without it, I think that eventually all of my ideas, all of my businesses, my main business, all of those would become such a grind that I would eventually burn out.
And people do burn out, don't they? They burn out in the corporate land. They burn out. I'm really open with this, and I've been saying it a lot recently. But I burnt out 3 times. I burnt out twice in corporate land, and then I became an entrepreneur to build my own company so that I could just have pub lunches and swan around and enjoy myself. And I burnt out again. And I look back on it and I think, I was so stupid. I could see it was happening. Other people could see it was happening, but I just thought I could kind of outwork the issues. And it's always going to end up badly, isn't it? Unless, as we say right through this episode, you look after yourself first and foremost.
Absolutely. When you're getting on a flight, and they walk you through, sort of the emergency protocols, they always tell you to put your mask on first. And I think it's critically important. Absolutely important, no matter what you do, is that you take time for yourself, and that you're creating balance in your life, and you're taking care of yourself. Because if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not balanced, you're not going to be the best that you can possibly be with your colleagues, with your employees, with your coworkers, whatever your case may be. If you aren't taking care of yourself and making sure that you're grounded and pacing yourself through this adventure, I think that you run the risk of becoming ineffective.
Now, let's play the words that made the whole show possible. He said these back in 2005, and we hear them every single day. Steve Jobs.
Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
Have you created your own path? Are you on a similar path to everybody else around you, Thom?
I was very moved by that piece by Steve Jobs. That's, that he's definitely a hero. Connecting the dots. I use my experiences from my past to guide where I'm going to go in the future. So, absolutely.
And what would be your big dot moment in your life when you look back on everything leading you to where you are now? Not necessarily on this podcast, but living your life, creating your business. Was there a moment, a conversation that you thought, yeah, this is where it's leading. This is really pointing the way?
Yeah, that I had that moment in 2008. So I started my business in 1999, and the main sort of sweetener that we use is based on the stevia leaf. And prior to 2008, the stevia leaf extract was not allowed by the FDA to be used as a sweetener. It could only be used as a dietary supplement. And I had this massive, huge wall in front of me called the FDA, and trying to get the FDA to approve our stevia extract to be generally regarded as safe and to be used as a sweetener. And it was a wall that I kept hitting over and over and over again, and it was my barrier to being successful. Well, one of my biggest competitors, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, was able to lobby the FDA to be able to give stevia a GRAS status, generally regarded as safe, so it would pave the way to be used as a sweetener. Well, this company happened to use one of our formulas, and I was, I was enraged by it, and my attorney said, "Don't even bother; they'll crush you." So in that moment, I felt like I lost my opportunity. But what happened is this company paved the way for my company to move in and be able to be a supplier. And when that happened, it was a complete shift. Then I saw my future and the future of my company unfold in front of me, and that gave me like a fountain of youth, or just an abundance of energy and belief in what I was doing that's taken me to where I am now.
And is it absolutely right for you at the moment? Is it the absolute moment in your life that you think everything I have worked towards is here?
No, not even close. Like this is a stepping stone, and my sweetener company, I believe in it. I love it. I absolutely embody the why we do it, to make an impact on, on metabolic disease. But I've achieved that, and we are making an impact on metabolic disease. We are a successful company, which means I've reached that goal. And now it means that I need to set my goals higher. So my moonshot, the goal that I really want to achieve and what I've set my sights on in the next 5 years is to actually find a cure for cancer. That's my moonshot goal.
I worry about you, Thom, that you're never going to be satisfied, that you're going to be on your deathbed and you're going to go, oh, instead of just going, oh, that was a ride and I thoroughly enjoyed it. You're going to feel like you just need that one more second, that one more minute to achieve it.
I love that, of course. I mean, that's my dream. My dream is to be, to be on my deathbed and to look back at the great vista that my life was, and know that I was, a fantastic son, an amazing brother, a supportive father, an amazing colleague, that I spent time fly fishing, that I spent time, hanging out with my dog, that I spent time paddleboarding, and oh yeah, I cured cancer.
Big goals, and I wish you all the best on them. I don't know how you're going to achieve them, but I'm sure if anyone's going to achieve them, you will. Well, this is the part of the show that we call the Sermon on the Mic, when we're going to send the current Thom back to have a conversation with his younger self. And if he could go back in time and speak to the young Thom, what age would he choose and what advice would he give? Well, we're going to find out, because I'm going to play the theme, and when it fades, you're up. This is the Sermon on the Mic.
Here we go with the best bit of the show, the Sermon on the Mic. The Sermon on the Mic.
I would like to talk to my 14-year-old self. And what I would say to my 14-year-old self is I'd say, get up, get out of bed, look in the mirror. And whatever other people are thinking about you or saying about you or bullying you, do not listen to it. Look directly into your eyes and know this. Believe in yourself. Believe that anything is possible, and you are the person that will make it probable.
Thom, what's the number one best way that our audience can connect with you?
I'm on all the socials. So I'm on Facebook at Thom King. I'm on Twitter at Thom King, ThomKing. I am Instagram, all of the socials you can find me. And I welcome people's emails. And my email address is Thom with an H, THOM King, King, at steviva.com, and that's steviva.com. I'm really good about returning emails, and I love mentoring people.
Great stuff. Thom, thank you so much for spending time with us today, joining up those dots, and please come back again when you have more dots to join up, because I do believe that by joining up the dots and connecting our pasts is the best way to build our futures. Mr. Thom King, thank you so much.
David, it was a pleasure, and thank you so much for having me on your podcast. Your questions were phenomenal.
Thom King, wasn't he a lovely man, eh? He's really open with the grind, but the passion. You could see that. It was grind, passion, and persistence. He found something, he saw an opportunity, and he went with it. And it wasn't easy, and he kept on chipping away, and he's grown it into something. Is it his life work? No, it was growing his confidence as much as anything. It grew his business prowess, and now he wants to tackle cancer, and if he does that, then the world will applaud him and he'll go down as a legend. But it all comes with that personal inner belief of what's possible. Once you break through that mindset, you can just do what you want, and every single one of you out there can do whatever you want, within reason. If you're 3 feet tall, you're not going to be a basketball player, but away from that, you're going to be cooking on gas. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Join Up Dots. I'm going off on holiday now. I'm having a break from it all, but of course I will still be there in your ears releasing episodes. We'll see you again soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.
David doesn't want you to become a faded version of the brilliant self you were once to become. So he's put together an amazing guide for you called the 8 Pieces of Advice that every successful entrepreneur practices, including the 2 that changed his life. Head over to joinupdots.com to download this amazing guide for free, and we'll see you tomorrow on Join Up Dots.